Okay, 3.1 research design. Now we go for 3.2, which is unit of analysis. Unit of analysis. So at first you have to define what is unit of analysis, which is it can be defined as individual, jet, groups, division, organizations, industries, or countries as what your respondent. So you can refer to any research methodology books talk about the unit of analysis, because in some of the topic the respondent might be countries, which is developing countries or developed countries choose by researchers. Maybe you want to have the comparison research, the comparison between developing and developed countries. So definitely their unit of analysis among the countries. And let's say in your topic, definitely maybe some of you choosing the unit of analysis among the public, the household, what else? The teenagers or the youth, the elderly, the housewife, the household. So it's considered as unit of analysis if you choosing the public being as your respondent, let's say. And let's if you choose the staff or employees in your organization, so that was your unit of analysis, yeah, which is the staff or employees from the organization coming from diversity of rank, from let's say if government servant choose being as your unit of analysis, so some taken from group C, group B, and some from group A, or maybe you are um, under private organizations or maybe at manufacturers companies, so you just choosing the operators being as the unit of analysis, so put into that a very simple paragraph, one simple paragraph on the unit of analysis is something that you know very simple paragraph for unit of analysis. First you need to define what is unit of analysis, and then second, who is your unit of analysis, who was fall under the topic being as your respondent, yeah. So cross sectional surveys under the research design. Okay, just for cross-sectional surveys for the research method, go back to 3.1, 3.2. Yeah, 3.1 introduction, 3.2 for research design, 3.3 for unit of analysis. So cross-sectional survey, why we choose cross-sectional survey? Because we, at first you have to go for the definitions, because you collect the data within how many weeks? Because you already put into the chapter one, yeah, within 8 weeks, within 1 month, yeah, in order to answer the research questions, and it will help you to have the easy way of data collection rather than you choose the second type of data collection, which is for longitudinal studies. Yeah, if you choose, let's say, for longitudinal studies, this is not for basic research, especially for you, because is having or involved with many stages, uh, and especially for data collections. If you're RPG, a student under master, under PhD or DBA, then you can do so, because longitudinal studies, which mean that you have the what we so call as some stages while you want to collect your data. Let's say it might be within a year, it might be within 2 years. They want to know the pattern, but in the prolong or in the longer years of period. Yeah. So let's say 12 months for data collection, and only getting the data at the middle of the month of Jan, February, March until December. So some sort of maybe they're just putting in 12 months within a year, just 4 quarters. So at first quarter, what month that they want to aim to collect the data. So they have more stages and be specific about collecting the data. It is quite technical and quite complex. So it is not fit and it is inappropriate to be used among the degree research. Okay, and that's all for 3.3 for unit of analysis. Okay, now we'll go to the next one, population and sampling. Okay, it's a quite lengthy, but no worries. I will sum up to you what do's and don'ts for the sub items for this into your write up. Okay, first share. Okay, sampling. So this is another of the sub item for sampling, which is the first one we talk about population later on about the sampling. Yeah, but the figure, this is the figures that show to you how should be done. Again, back to the research design, the figure, and we are at the step of where is it? Hmm, sampling design. Yeah. So sampling design, which mean that we are talking about probability or non-probability sample size. So these are the things. It's quite lengthy, even though just only one sub-item for sampling design. Yeah. And then, okay, at first about the sampling. Yeah. But usually we are talking about the first one population because in the statistics subject we are talking about first one populations and followed by uh, sample size because sample size is uh, what we should call as subsections by the populations. So at first population, so you have to define what is a population. A population refers to the entire group. The word very simple. The entire group of people, entire group of events, or entire or all of countries throughout the world because the respondents are uh, countries that being as your respondents, let's say. So all of the staff under your organization fall as the populations. Yeah. And the element is a single member of the population. So means that the elements that will be selected being as your sample size. Yeah. We can manage 100% of populations to be as elements or sample size, but due to the time constraints, due to financial assistance, and there are so many things if you want to put the 100% of population being as 100% of sample size. That's why we have some techniques to make sure that in your study you have ample time to collect the data and doable at your level. Yeah, because we have a bigger population, so totally impossible to get more units to be your element. The population, let's say in a district in Sungai Petani. So the area Kuala Muda have more than 500,000 of populations. You want to do a topic about customer loyalties on cosmetic product, let's say. So it is something that impossible to have this bigger populations to be your sample size. That's why we have to use the techniques from these half millions of customers. So how you want to get your sample size by some of the techniques. And perhaps from this sample size can represent the findings or to represent the finding to show that these are the trends among the customers loyalties in Sungai Petani. Yeah, this 150 of sample size can represent or can mirror or can reflect what the pattern or the trend of customer loyalties in Sungai Petani. Yeah. Then define the population frame definitions, and then the sample, as what I mentioned to you, the subset. Yeah. So even we are not talking 500,000, even the 10K, 10,000 of population is quite hard and impossible if you want to get the data within 1 month. even though within 2 months. And so far, for the student among the PhD or DBA over the world, they are not doing, they do not have the sample size for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and more. As far as I concerned, so far, I saw some researchers or some of the student of PhD or DBA, they got 500 at the most, yeah, 500 or 700, because they want to cover the state, they want to cover the country. So each of the state, let's say, need to be represented by some of elements. And last year, this is my experience, this is the world record in Malaysia, I think. I was one of the member from the grant of MKN, Majlis Keselamatan Negara, and the head from professor from Shah Alam. And then 500,000 of grant. We have to cover all of these 13 state governments within 8 months. And then the respondents are, if I'm not mistaken, 12,000. 12,000 of respondents, which is distribute the questionnaire, and more than 300 of informants for qualitative, which is we interview the colonel, we interview the Panglima Angkatan Tentera, we interview the KPN, we interview, which is the high-end VVIPs, the most important agencies under MKN. So I think that was a great record in Malaysia, and maybe one of the highest over the world regards to this. But as a student, without any grants, within a very short time period, you cannot go more. And especially we are in the basic research. Yeah, don't talk about 200 as sample size. Don't talk about 300 or 500 and many more. At your level, I think less than 200. There are techniques and methods that to choose. No worries. If you have stuck or you unclear about how you want to choose the best technique, please consult with me. Yeah. And let's say you are among the government staff, which is you choose the government staff in, let's say, in custom Sungai Petani. The population, let's say 300. Yeah. So out of 300 of the populations of custom Sungai Petani, so you can have the sample size at least for 100. It's already represent for 30%. Yeah. Out of the population. So definitely it can justify the way how you choose the numbers. Yeah? And let's say even though you have 1,000 of populations in any companies in a private, let's say, so you can choose, yeah, 150 can represent for this. It can represent the findings to mirror about 1,000 population in this company. And however, when we talk about the public being as the respondent, we are not talking about 1,000. We are talking about 500,000. We are talking about million. Yeah? Million being as a consumer, million um, being as a consumer, being as household, being as youth, elderly, yeah, in the topic of what you are chosen for. Let's say the factors contribute to satisfactions in Alustar. Definitely Alustar, which is the population in the district itself, maybe more than not more than 500,000, because the highest one is from the area Kuala Muda, let's say 300k. So it's a bigger population. So we have the specific technique. And let's say you are coming from the private companies that only having a small population, it was excluded. Yeah, exclusion for this, which mean that if you have small populations, like say 30 staff only, 50 staff only for your populations, the entire staff in that company, you can take this small population to be your 100% of sample size. Yeah, 50 population, 50 of population, can be as your 50 of sample size, 100%. Sorry for that noise. Okay, then um, that's for the exclusion if you have a small population, 100 staff in that company or 100 staff in JKM, let's say 50 staff in JKM Sungai Petani. You want to know about the factors contribute to job satisfactions among staff at JKM Sungai Petani. So only 50 staff. So this small population can be as 100% of sample size. So 50 to 50. But when it comes to larger population, definitely you have to choose the specific technique. Yeah. Okay. What else? Okay, now we are talking about probability and non-probability sampling. These are the things that we are talking about sampling techniques. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, the next sub item 3.4, 3.5, if I'm not mistaken, we are talking about sampling technique. Yeah, sampling technique, we have two types, probability and non-probability sampling techniques. There are too many in these slides, but I just can sum up to you. There are uh, a few techniques that popular and easy to handle. Yeah, easy to handle about the technique. We are talking about the larger populations and what kind of the technique that you it will help you a lot to choose and to do the process. Yeah. And when we talk about the first one, probability sampling, yeah, so we have a few techniques. Probability sampling for under this sample random sampling or restricted, which is in nature. So restricted, which means that it's already what we should call, they are fulfill the criteria to be the respondent. Whoever that not fulfill the respondent, they are not eligible to be your respondent. Yeah. So means that there are some restricted, there are some unrestricted. Okay. So let's say unrestricted under probability sample random sampling. So this is the first mistake done by the student when they are choosing the sample random sampling. Yeah, the student saying that okay, we choose the sample random sampling because it's random, isn't it? So we can choose anybody to be our respondent. No, yeah, it must be a list of the respondent, and then you choose from that. There's no list. There is no list of the staff coming from admin to select the sample size. You cannot use the sample random sampling. If let's say admin don't want to pass over to you the list of the staff, so you cannot use the sample random sampling. And this is the things. Let's say if you have, okay, you can use that. But if you choose the respondent among the public, how come you want to use the sample random sampling? You don't know the exact or the latest statistic, how many household having the blah 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 the criteria in Sungai Petani. How many customer or how many consumers that consume um, cosmetic product in Sungai Petani. We want to know the populations. We do not have this. Even the DOSM cannot produce this. Let's say they do have, but that was not the latest, the latest years. Yeah, that's why. So you cannot use the sample random sampling. Or if let's say you want to choose this technique because the factors contribute to customer loyalty on cosmetic products. Some malls under 3 lotus in Sungai Petani. Definitely you have to get the list from the lotus. How many customer, then how you want to select them. So hard. That's why please put aside about sample random sampling. But if you want to choose that, Let's say if the respondent coming from the organization that you will work for, then you can go for, because they will give to you, maybe the HR or admin giving you the list, 300 of the staff under custom. So from that you choose 120, let's say the numbers, how to detect or to determine the sample size, we talk later. But the thing is, you already have the list, then you can go for it. If you do not have the list, you just forget about that. Forget about sample random sampling. Do not um, confuse with the words of the random. Okay, not the most efficient design as what I mentioned to you for the random sampling. Okay, next one. So these are, which is what we so call as restricted, which means that we focus about whoever that meet the criteria to be our respondent, so we can choose either one of these. Yeah. From out of this probability sampling, yeah, the famous one is stratified and cluster. The rest is inappropriate and complex to be told and to be explained in your write up. So let's say if you want to choose the probability sampling, which is either stratified or cluster sampling. First definition of this sampling or the technique, and then how this technique can help you to get the sample size. Yeah, let's say I just focus about two, which is stratify and cluster. Yeah, if you choose cluster, let's say um, you choose the staff in your organizations being as respondent. Cluster, which means that you already have the diversity of ranks. There are some groups that you already rank into the uh, respondents. So you clusterize the group. So you choose the cluster sampling. Yeah, out of the 150 sample size, let's say, there are some coming from grade C, there are some coming from grade B and A. Or in the private sector, you putting the cluster sampling chosen for the study, um, when only operators being as the respondent. So you already clusterize the population to be your sample size. So the employees, which is not the operators only be as the respondent, and let's say the operators might be more than 200, maybe 500 the operators, then you clusterize again, still using the clusterize again only at operation department. I don't know about that, but let's say you clusterize again and again, because when the sample is quite big, you cannot tolerate about that, because you are hunting with the time, hunting with the financial assistance and so many things. That's why less than 200 it was okay, but it's still more than 200. Let's say the operators um, in manufacturing company having, let's say, the total of operators 500. Oh no, you cannot go for that 500. You clusterize again from out of this department of the operators, which one that you think and you can justify that can serve the topic, let's say the employee satisfactions. So maybe at the operator at operation department, let's say. So at operation department only have 100. So you already clusterized by stages out of 1,000 of population, and you already clusterized at the first stage, um, down to 500, and from 500 you down to 100. So choose the 100, because you want to know the customer satisfactions only for this operation department, which is might be the best justification. They are having the tension, they are having some issues being as operators at the front line, at front line, let's say. So you can proceed about that. Okay. And the next one is stratified. Stratified means that you stratify by zoning, by area, or by categories of respondent. Let's say you categorize them as household in rural area. Let's say in Tanjung Dawai, the factors contribute to poverty in Tanjung Dawai. So you choose the stratified random sampling because in daerah Kuala Muda there are so many zoning, zone A, blah 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 blah. But you choose only Tanjung Dawai as one of your zone to do or to collect the data, and then you already stratified by rural area only to be covered by you. Yeah, or maybe the respondents among the household, ketua isi rumah, household, and you just want to collect the data still in Sungai Petani, but in some housing areas, some township, let's say, Bandar Puteri and Bandar Laguna. You want to know about the consumer behaviors or the factors contribute to customer loyalties because you don't want to collect data at mall. You want to collect the data at housing areas. No worries, you still on track because everybody of us in housing area having, yeah, or maybe every day without fail, yeah, do consume or do buying things. Yeah, no need to collect the data at Lotus, at any mall or any supermarket. You can go for housing area as long as you can get the data processed clearly. Yeah, and you go for this Bandar Laguna and Bandar Puteri, let's say. So you already put the stratify system. When the township only choose for the study, for the technique to collect the data. Out of 400 plus of housing areas in Sungai Petani or in daerah Kuala Muda, only two township chosen, which is Bandar Puteri and Bandar Laguna Merbok. And then why this township? Because the category of bungalow, category of semi-D double terrace and double terrace. That's the only thing. Yeah. So you can use the stratify. Okay. So under stratified, so if let's say if you want to choose like this, so you stratify the top management, middle management, lower management, supervisor, clerk because you want to have many from the department. So you can choose the stratified. Yeah. So at first, if the cluster you clusterize based on positions, not based on the position, based on the segmentation of the groups, based on the what else? Let's say you choose the student of PJJ, so you clusterize that instead of being student in UITM, the respondent only from PJJ. So that was clusterized. But one certified, so usually you choose from each of the departments in your organizations. Yeah. So usually if the proportionate, so means that the same percentage for the standard. But if you choose the disproportionate, so means that it's based on the percentage because each of the department having the different of total numbers of the staff. Yeah. So here, these are the things you can see the total of 142 for the sample size. This is only uh, um, one of the method to identify the sample size. Okay, cluster multi. Next. Okay, the next one is again popular and one of the technique that I prefer and I encourage to all of the students. Purposive sampling, which means that we use this sample or we choose this technique to whoever being as respondent that fulfill the criteria. Yeah, That's the way of purpose of purposive, because the topic about the obesity, let's say the factors contribute to obesity among youth in Sungai Petani. So definitely, whoever that having the criteria over BMI, and then who having the you know the specific of so-called as obesity, so they can be as your respondent. Whoever have less BMI or just nice BMI cannot be as your respondent. So it was called as purposive sampling. It was play safe technique. Yeah, and let's say the topic about the factors contribute to product loyalty, product loyalty on local product, customer loyalty on local product. So definitely you need to find the respondent that use only local product, because the questionnaire is about local product. If you give the questionnaire to the respondent that without having any consume local product, they are more preferring the imports or the overseas product, so they cannot be as your respondent. Yeah. And let's say the respondent is household, ketua isi rumah. If let's say you being as household, and that it should be distributed to you only, not to all of the tenants or dwelling in that house. Only the household, not all of the tenants per house. Yeah? So means that only one being as household, ketua isi rumah. Okay. And the next one, let's say the topic. This is the topic from the previous, as what I read before a couple years ago. The topic about this is the grant, the what's it called, the researchers coming from IPTs. The topic about prostitute. Only 5 informant, which is being as prostitute. So they use the purposive sampling. Whoever that having the criteria that being as prostitute be as informants for that topic. Whoever being as a smoker, and you cannot give the questionnaire to non-smoker. You have to get the true respondent. Yeah. Um, the topic about vaping habits. The factors contribute to vaping habits among youth. Definitely, you use the purposive sampling and go and approach the vapor. You cannot approach the non-vapor. It was wrong. Yeah. Okay, and they have two type under purposive, but usually we have, let's say, snowball. What is it? The snowball. And the next one is snowball. Let's see. Snowball is one of what we so call as you do not have uh, the list of respondent, but you only have one or two, let's say. It would be a reference to you to have another respondent in future. So let's say you don't know how many of them are HIV positive, how many of them are prostitute, how many of them are uh, a smoker or vapor. Especially you use the qualitative, not the quantitative. And when you approach after finish and after finish the interview, for the first informant, you will ask the first, do you have any friends that can be my informants for the next process? Yeah, yes, I do have a few. So this is the names of them, and you can approach them. And let's say you got another three in the process of interview. After completed for these three informants, and then you will ask again from these three, do you have any that can I interview them? Then you will interview, or you will get informants or respondents until you complete for the sample size. Yeah. Okay. The slide is not talking about the sample size, how to choose the sample size. And please alert about what I want to mention here. The first one is the table by Umar Sakaran. By Sakaran, this is a very famous one. Yeah, if you want to play safe, yes. But when we talk about Sakaran, the table shows that big sample size. That's why some students don't want to use this. I'm okay with that, but you need to justify why is it. Okay, the first technique, if you want to choose the table, if you have the population, let's say in your organization, in custom, in police, in immigration, or any that in your topic, being as the respondent. So let's say the population was 100. There you can choose the sample size, which is the element is 80. So you apply enough for the sample size. You can justify in the sample size, which is this, the sample size is the next sub-items after the sampling technique. So out of 100 of populations, Sekaran, which is we have to get the citation, Sekaran 2003, Sekaran 2023, stated that if 100 under the populations, so 80 being as the elements or the sample size for the study. So the supervisor will satisfy with the citations and okay, according to the table. It was okay if you have a small numbers of populations. If you want to use this table or you want to use by sekarang in the daerah, let's say in district, so in district or in state, yeah. So in country, even though in a country, yeah, more than 100,000, so you have to choose 384. It's quite big at your level. You want to choose this table to know about the topic, the factors contribute to customer satisfactions in Sungai Petani. Yeah, they have more than half million, or in the era Kuala Muda, they have more than half million. So if the population more than 100,000, it was enough if you choose 384. 384. If you are master, PhD or DBA, it was good enough. But at your level, no. That's why I'm not encourage the student to use the sample size by Sekaran if you have a bigger populations. Yeah. Okay. The second technique of sample size, you need to Google after this because it is not stated in the slide if you want to get more about this technique. The second one is rule of thumb. You need to jot down, you have to Google after this because this technique that I will prefer to any student to use for the bigger numbers of the population to have the sample size. Roscoe 1975, ROSCOE 1975. Roscoe 1975, by using rule of thumb. Rule of thumb. Yeah. Yeah. Roscoe is a statistician saying that regardless of population, it was okay to have only to have from 30 to 500 to be a sample size. Yeah, even though a big number, you just okay for 500. Let's say if you want to control about the study in the country, 500. You can choose 300. You can choose 100. But looking about the country wise, maybe more than 300, maybe 500. But if you have, let's say, 1,000 population based on based on Roscoe saying that it it's just okay from 30 to 500. So you can choose 100. But from the Sekaran, if 1,000, You can see that 1,278 is quite big of sample size. But if you use the raw score 1975, you can pick any numbers from 30 to 500, but you need to come up with the justification. Why is it the numbers that can represent the sample size, that can reflect to the populations? Yeah, out of 1,000, you choose only 100 because it is the middle between 30 to 500, according to Roscoe 1975. So perhaps 100 sample size can represent the 1,000 of populations in organizations. Yeah, yeah. So if let's say if you want to choose 30 to represent the 1,000, if you convert to percentage, it's quite low. So better don't. So at least 50% or 30%, 30% out of that, or any numbers, 1,000, 100 or 150, which is low, below than 200. Even though you have 10K, even though you have 500,000 of Kuala Muda district residents, yeah. But looking the raw score saying that even though a million is just enough for up to 500, so if 500,000 of resident in Sungai Petani, you just choose only 150. It was okay because you already referred to Roscoe 1975. Perhaps 150 uh, can pre- uh, can represent the findings about the uh, customer satisfactions using the public transport in Sungai Petani. Okay, that was the second types to choose the sample size. The third one, still you have to Google if you want to use this. Fidel and Tabernic. They are using the specific formulation. Go and find it if you want to choose Fidel and Tabernic. Fidell Tabanick. If I'm not mistaken. Fidel and Tabernic. They have the specific formulation. You have 1 dV and 5 IVs, and then they have the specific elements to be counted and end up. They will show you the formulation, got the exact of the sample size. There are many more how to determine the sample size, but I just give you just a few. Yeah, small populations, you can go for Sekaran, or the small population, let's say 30 census, 30 to 30 sample size. But if you have bigger population, using Roscoe rule of thumb 1975. Okay, so that's for sample size. Now we go for measurement, which is the next sub item. Still, I just sum up. Okay, measurement. Here, this is a measurement that you have to know about the value at first. Okay, these are the thing here about the measurement, about scaling, categorizing, and coding. At first, you have to know about the um, value that you have to put into your questionnaire to be developed. Yeah, we will talk later about the example under the write-up. Nominal scale was the first one. Nominal usually in part A questionnaire that maybe all of you having their experience fill in the questionnaire at part one. Sorry, part A, demographic profile. They use the nominal. Yeah, tick if you tick the box. Okay, female, male. Race, gender, marital status. That was nominal scale. Huh? Then ordinal. We rank into each group, which means that the answer that we are ranking into some specific groups. Yeah. So usually you can see that this is the example: good, better, best, or ordinal under part A, demographic profile. You can refer to income level. Yeah, income level. The first box below 1,500, and then the second box is up to you how to tick, isn't it? Below 1,500, and then more 1,500 to 3,000, more than 3,000 to 5,000, and then above 5,000, let's say. So we rank into that specific answers. Yeah. And then the second one is education level. Yeah. So we put that um, primary, yeah, primary school at the first box, second, secondary school, third, higher education, or maybe put degree. Then after that, master program. So the first one for undergraduate program, which is to represent diploma and degree, and then last one is postgraduate, which is to represent master, PhD, and DBA. That's for ordinal. Interval, which means that we put into the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, or some to the extent until 10. 1, 2, 3 until 10. It is more to PG level. But at your level, 1 to 5 or 1 to 4. Why is it some use 1 to 4 and 1 to 5? Yeah? Mm, when we have this one. Okay. Very low to very high. Yeah. Um, maybe one represent 1 to 5, let's say 1 to 5. One represent the value for totally dissatisfied. Totally dissatisfied. Number two, value two, dissatisfied. Number three, neutral or normal. Number four, satisfied. Number five, totally satisfied. If agree, let's say, whether you want to know about the degree level between them. Yeah, totally disagree. Number two, disagree. Number three, normal or neutral. Number four, agree. And five, totally agree. If you want to choose only four, which means that you remove normal or neutral. Yeah, so it means that 1, 2, 3, 4 only. Totally dissatisfied, dissatisfied, satisfied, totally dissatisfied. Yeah, this is the category scale. Yeah, so you can see how it goes. The Likert scale, which is represent the interval scale, interval value. The last one, we are talking about validity and reliability. This is for the pilot test under data analysis. But after measurement, I don't know whether 3.7 or 3.8, and then we go for data collections. Yeah, data collections. This is the technique. What is it? The technique. Data collections are usually in a paragraph to mention about the way how you want to get the data from fieldworks. You already decided that to choose the quantitative through survey as what you propose this semester, next semester, opening the semester, then you can distribute for pilot test at first to test the reliability and validity. After you get the high score or acceptable of the value, you can proceed for actual distribution for chapter 4. Yeah? For this, you have to be sure about the way how you want to form the questionnaire and have the translation of BM as well, because we cannot assume that they can understand about English as well. You have to get the bilanguage into that questionnaire, let's say. And then within 2 weeks or 4 weeks as what you propose from your proposal. Okay. And then using Google form or using the F2F, so you have to put into data collection techniques. Okay. Usually here you use the questionnaire. Interview, that's for qualitative. But usually questionnaire it was easy by quantifiable methods and techniques rather than you use the interview. Yeah. Then sources of data, you are using primary because you get the data from fresh, which is you distribute your questionnaire to the respondent. You use the primary, yeah, but it is not only primary, secondary data as well. We get for our write-up from the first chapter. You get from journals, you get from newspapers, you get from any academic sources. Is so called as secondary. You get the annual report, get the data from BLOSSOM, from statistic departments, and the others of ministry's report, let's say, is so called as secondary data. It's already published by the government agencies, by the companies, or any other reliable sources that so called as secondaries. Yeah. Yeah. And questionnaire, yeah, usually we using before COVID, yes, only F2F, but after COVID and now post COVID, Google Online, yeah, Google Forms, sorry, Google Forms, or because it was easy enough rather than you go for F2F. We have the options. Okay, interview, no, not at your level. Not, I don't want to say that not at your level, but you just use only quantitative. No need to go for interviews for qualitative. Yeah. So once you want to develop the items and the measurements, so these are the techniques that you have to make sure to to have the high value for your pilot test before you go for actual distribution that semester. Funneling unbiased questions, clarifying issues, helping the respondent to think through issues and taking notes. Yeah, but interview just keep no. Questionnaire is what you have to be sure in your data collection from the fieldworks. Yeah. And whatever you fill into the questionnaire from the previous, that was the thing that you have to consent. Yeah. They have a part A, they have part B for your DV, they have IVs accordingly. And it is not so easy to develop the questionnaire items. It must be a right definition of concept, the right definition of operation and organizations, and the right value, which is using nominal, internal, or ordinal, or interval whatsoever in the right place. Okay. Okay. And at your level, try to avoid negative questions or negative item, because if you put the negative item you have to recode or transform back into SPSS. Is so many stages. So to me at your level it's just enough to have positive items. I do not feel I'm very effective in my job. This statement having two things: one negative, it doesn't mean that it was wrong, but at your level, no need to negative. And the second one is when you use very. Very is already leading answer, so avoid that. You have to be uh, neutral or normal statement. I feel effective. I feel I'm effective in my job. That was okay. Rather than you use I do not feel I am very effective in my job, you have something mistake in develop the items. I am effective in my job. That was okay. Yeah. Double barrel questions. when you have and in the one item. I feel energetic and strong to do the work. Energetic and strong. Two different of definitions. I choose either one only because maybe the respondent agree that she or he only energetic but not strong. That's why if you still maintain, if you want to still maintain about the term, separate into two items. I feel energetic to do the works. I feel strong to do the works. Yeah. I'm happy and energetic to do the work. No. You have to separate into two items. Don't use no, don't use and or. Yeah. Ambiguous. So it's quite ambiguous. It's too subjective. So avoid about that. How you want to rating or measure the happiness. Yeah. Leading as what I mentioned to you. Very totally avoid that. What else? What else? Mm, ethics in data collections. Just no plagiarism. That's it. And follow the process. And the last in chapter 3, data analysis. This is to determine you have whether you have a clear picture about analysis from the software of SPSS. We learn about SPSS for the next class. Yeah. So for this, by today class, out of 16, only 10, and I believe that you are still have patience over it. Yeah. And when we talk about data analysis, definitely we are talking about SPSS because you want to make sure you answer or not you answer or not research question and research objective from chapter 1. Yeah. So you have to know about descriptive analysis, which is a must to all of research. Descriptive analysis consists of frequency, standard deviations, mean to serve RQ1 and RO1. Not only for you, but up to the DBA and PhD. They need to use descriptive statistic to analyze analyze the data to answer RQ number one and RO number one. To what extent the customer satisfied over the product? To what extent the consumer trend on the product? To what extent the stress among the staff? Yeah, we're using the descriptive analysis. Okay, this is quite lengthy. I don't want to go at each detail of it. Um, descriptive already told you, and the next one is about Pearson correlation. I direct go to the RQ2 and RO2 until the last IVs because you use uh, correlations. You use correlation to know the relationship between IV and DVs. Yeah, IV and DV. You have 5 IVs. So from RQ2 until last RQ, talk about the relationship between IVs and DVs. Family, peers, attitude, environments, and financial, let's say. So RQ2 until RQ2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Until RQ6, the analysis is correlations. You want to know about what? Hypothesis testing as what you put into the hypothesis. There is a significant relationship between family and customer satisfaction. There is no, we assume at first. Which one we don't know yet. Chapter 4 will ask or will answer the research question. Which one, or is your objective? Which one that having relationship, which one not having a relationship? Yeah. So the second one is correlations. Uh, Chi-square, if you want to know about gender or you want to know about the t-test, let's say maybe some of the students use gender as one of their IV. So to develop RQ and RO is slightly different with the others of IV chosen. Because if you choose the gender, we don't want to know about relationship. We want to know the significant difference between male and female, being as a smoker, being as a vapor. Yeah, you want to know whether male or female having or have consume more cigarettes, consume more vapes. Yeah, so significant difference in gender. We don't want to know about relationship between gender only male, only for the marital status, whether bachelor, whether married, widowed or widower. Yeah, we don't want to know about their relationship. We want to know about significant difference in gender. Which one, male or female, consume more? Which one is low consume? Which one contribute more? Which one impact more? Yeah, so you use the t-test. Yeah, let's say out of 5 IVs, you have family, peers, attitude, environment, and gender. So 4 IVs talk about relationship. The relationship between families and customer satisfaction, the relationship between attitude and customer satisfaction until 4. But when it comes to gender in RQ and RO, what is significant different in gender contribute to customer satisfactions? We want to know from male or female contribute more to satisfy. Then in data analysis, not only correlation for this four, you have to put t-test for another one to know about gender. Okay,
Ah,
that's it for data
kena
analysis.
kejap, kelas, kejap.
Any questions? Any questions? No question as usual. Okay, for the next class, as what I mentioned to you, that you have to bring the laptop because we will do the hands-on for SPSS and I will pass over to you the submission test as well. Submitted would be submission would be on week 14 for the submission test. Yeah. And for the write-up, I believe that you have the example of the proposal for the chapter 3. So you can see how it goes. Maybe it's not 100% as what I'm expected, but at least they have the flow, how to write up for chapter 3 after a couple times of consultations. And if you still stuck, just WhatsApp me and then got the idea how to make sure that your write up is smooth. Yeah. Do not keep silent because um, the clock is ticking. We already go to week 10 for this week, just 4 weeks away from the submissions of proposals because I already lecture about the proposals and now I need to focus for SPSS software. Maybe taking time more than 2 weeks. Sorry, maybe taking time more than 2 hours on 24th June to to make sure each of you uh, understand about each of the steps to key in the data and to analyze the data. Maybe we can use the dummy data at first. I will pass over the questionnaire that all of you using the same questionnaire for dummy to key in the data for your exercise for this semester. And then from that, exercise, 30% will thoroughly about this. You need to distribute for this dummy exercise, for dummy questionnaire, for 30 copies to whoever, your sibling, your family, whoever. Maybe within one day or 2 days, you can complete enough because this is only dummy for exercise. 30 copies, and then get back to key in the data into software. Go for descriptive analysis, go for correlations, go for pilot tests, go for correlation and multiple regressions. So all of this exercise, you need to submit to get 30%, which is the data at first, the, the soft copy of data. The second is the explanation that you convert from the SPSS data, the SPSS finding to the chapter 4 for the words form. So we'll talk later about that on 24th June. But perhaps, I don't know the rest, but whoever that attended this class just now, so be sure that you are on track. I don't know how you want to do within how many left of the weeks, but these are the things that every single semester that I do face. I do facing about this over the years. Do not doing the last minute works, especially for research. If assignment, yes, you can do so. But when it comes to research, because when it comes to last minutes, then you pushing my time, you hunting my time. So I would give you the last minute marks, last minute consultation, which is you have the less value to put into your write up. Yeah. And since there is no questions, see you next 24th June. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Terima kasih tu.
Ya, sama.
Thank you, Ate.
Ya, most welcome.